Right now, slow moving for the evening commute as our weekend snowstorm continues. We'll have the latest radar information and live reports from crews monitoring conditions.
And we're live in San Francisco ahead of the Packers 49ers NFC Championship game. A look at the fan excitement from the Bay Area.
Plus, a Willie Street venue has a handful of problems to address before its opening, including not having a liquor license and their lease putting restrictions on what type of music can be played.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 6.
Thank you for joining us. We start with team coverage on the winter storm making for a messy evening commute.
Now we have crews monitoring conditions in Grant County and also checking Madison roads, but we start with our First Alert weather team meteorologist Dana Fulton joining us now. Dana?
Right now, yes, the roads are a mess and the snow is just going to continue to fall. As we look at our Doppler radar right now, the snow has just been nonstop for the last few hours for Madison. The heavier snow now falling for the northeast quarter of Rock County, but that doesn't mean we're in the clear for anywhere in Dane County right now. Again, we're seeing that heavier band starting to move to the east, stretching towards Milwaukee. Now, as far as the snow accumulation is concerned, it's going to continue all night. That's why we do have an alert day in the forecast for tonight and winter weather advisories in effect for tonight through your Saturday. The snow is going to continue and visibility going to be reduced significantly overnight as the winds pick up also. Here's a look at about 8-9 o'clock. We are expecting a little freezing rain or even mixed precipitation for areas south of Madison. It's going to leave a little bit of a crunchy glaze layer heading into early Saturday morning. The snow wraps back around though for the start of Saturday and then starts to taper off as we get closer to 12 o'clock in the early afternoon. The wind speeds picking up though throughout the course of the day. So this is a messy situation for tonight and for your Saturday. We actually have our meteorologist Chris Reese out on the patio right now with a little closer look at those current conditions that we're seeing right now in Madison. Chris?
Yeah, that's right, Dana. We are outside right now. We're still seeing that light snow fall. It's actually coming down at a really good clip, but those flakes are just a little bit smaller, and that's because we have those temperatures that are into the 20s. If we were closer to 30 or so, these flakes would likely be a lot bigger. But one of the other things that works in our favor with seeing those temperatures in the 20s is that it's warm enough for the salt to be effective. Once you get below 18 degrees, salt is no longer able to be effective on the road. So watch those temperatures as we head into the overnight hours. We will actually continue to warm up right towards that 32-degree mark. This is that period that you were talking about where we will see that best chance for some sleet and freezing rain again, especially south as you work your way towards the state line. But then tomorrow afternoon, those temperatures begin to drop once again. And right now, all focus is going to be on those main roads. So you already know how the neighborhood roads have been, and they've had that layer of just pure ice about an inch thick on the base before the snow came in this afternoon. Well, what's not cleared as we move into tomorrow, that's once again what's going to become a pretty solid layer of ice on the roadways as those temperatures begin to drop. We're going back into the teens. So this is the reason, folks, I'm expecting major impacts to driving and even walking as we go through the weekend, along with moderate impacts to clearing those roadways, Dana. This has just been one of those situations where it's not the snow amounts, but it's the snowfall impact.
Thank you so much, Chris. We're also, of course, seeing those impacts on the roads right now. The last several hours, traffic has been reduced. Our speeds have been reduced significantly along the Beltline. We're seeing those major impacts even on the rural routes. I do want to bounce right now to the Beltline at Todd Drive. East and westbound are moving. We're down to about the single digits for their speeds along the Isthmus and downtown. Very slow. Middleton looking slow. And Janesville right now, we're seeing delays downtown and on the interstate. Some accidents to report there. For a closer look at what is happening on the Beltline, we have our Amanda Quintana right now live driving through the Beltline in this traffic. And Amanda, it has been a slow and go for the last few hours for you guys.
Yes, Dana, definitely slow and go. We're seeing a lot of brake lights. We just passed Rimrock Road here on the Beltline, and it's actually gotten a little better in the last 30 to 45 minutes. So we just turned around on the Beltline. We were going westbound, and it took us about an hour to get from Monona to Middleton, and we were going about 10 miles an hour that entire time. So now we're going 15. So I'd like to say it's gotten a little better. Maybe there are just less people on the roads. But of course, that means the roads are being covered with more and more snow in that time. So still very, very snow-covered roads. Once less people are on the Beltline, it becomes very difficult to see what lane you're in, and more snow gathers on the road here. So it will take you a while. If you haven't hit the road yet to get home tonight, just be aware that it will take you a while to get home, definitely on the Beltline.
I'm Gabriella Becerra live in Montfort, and here the winds are really starting to pick up speed. And that's something we can feel out here, but also something we noticed while driving on 18 through Grant County. The wind is blowing the snow right across the road, which is mostly snow covered at this point. We haven't seen any accidents or slide-offs traveling eastbound towards Madison. And Grant County will be on a winter weather advisory until Saturday at 6. But we will keep you updated with anything else we learn. Back to you guys in the studio.
Gabriella Becerra reporting. Thank you. A reminder, you can have the latest weather and traffic information at your fingertips. Download the First Alert app to access live radars and forecast updates.
New at 6, 4 people are dead after a fire broke out at a home in northeastern Wisconsin overnight. When crews arrived at the Ocato home, it was engulfed in flames. The firefighters couldn't go inside for several hours because the structure was unstable. Victims' names have not been released yet. The Ocato School District is making counselors available for students tomorrow. Beloit School Board president is resigning. Pamela Charles made that announcement through a Facebook post saying the district needs to move on and focus on healing during another administrative transition. Her decision comes after the board approved the resignation of Superintendent Dr. Stanley Monroe. A formal complaint had been filed against him alleging he intimidated staff.
Packers fans are starting to make the trip to California for this weekend's NFC Championship game. The team is just one win away from a Super Bowl berth.
Adam Duxter has spent the day at Fisherman's Wharf with what fans can expect when they get there. Adam?
Eric and Charlotte, definitely a friendlier climate here in Northern California than what you guys are dealing with in Wisconsin right now. But something tells me there are a lot of Packer fans in Wisconsin dealing with that snow, trying to make it out here. But when they do get here, they will have a lot of excitement waiting for them. And that includes being here on the bay, seeing some of the famous sea lions, eating all of the delicious lobster and crab and everything else that comes along with being here at this NFC Championship game. And of course, we are expecting a big crowd of Packers fans here in Northern California this weekend. And believe it or not, there's actually bars devoted to Packer fans right here in San Francisco. And tonight at 9 and 10 here on News 3 Now, we're going to take a look at one of those Packers bars and see how things might get a little contentious this weekend.
All right, yeah, those Packers bars are everywhere. Adam Duxter live in the Bay Area tonight. Adam, thank you.
Representative Sheila Stubbs is introducing legislation to create a civil cause of action for racially motivated police calls. Stubbs says it's time to end racial profiling by proxy in Wisconsin, including black and brown people having police called on them when they're engaging in legal everyday activities. The bill would allow victims of color to sue callers up to $250 for calling the police with the intent to cause harm.
This bill creates a pathway to justice for victims who are feeling humiliated, discriminated, the fear from having the police called on them for doing nothing but existing. What it comes down to is being in the wrong race in the wrong place.
Stubbs is the first African American ever elected from Dane County to the state legislature. Police were called on her in 2018 when she was campaigning in a predominantly white neighborhood.
There has been mass confusion about the opening of Canopy in the former Plan B and Prism nightclub venue on Willie Street.
On its Facebook page, they advertise their grand opening tomorrow with deals on drinks, but the ALRC says they do not have a license to sell alcohol. Jamie Perez joins us now with what we know.
Well, they said just a few hours ago on their Facebook page that they are opening tomorrow, but for a soft opening, and they never explicitly say whether or not they still plan on selling alcohol. Since the owner, Austin Carl, first proposed his plan to the city on this, city staff say his plans have changed multiple times, and it's caused a lot of confusion.
We referred this for 30 days so he could come back and clarify exactly what he wants. because there was some confusion in our mind if he wanted to be a nightclub or a bar. He was talking about being a cafe, among other things, having coffee and having a place to network, not just to get together and dance.
Now, one point of confusion that came up during that ALRC meeting was about a clause in the lease agreement stating that no hip-hop or urban music could be played, and that struck a nerve with some community members and city staff as well.
The landlord was worried that we would have some instances that would scare away some of the community members, not scare away necessarily as make the community uncomfortable. And this is something that is open to negotiation in our second lease.
Paul Skidmore said no one from the community has complained to him about hip-hop music, but they have complained about the noise that comes from the venue. And I did speak with the owner, Carl, over the phone, and he said tomorrow he wants to make his space and himself available to the public, but then he hung up on me. This is Carl's first time running a business, but says he feels that that does not mean he doesn't have what it takes to run one. I have a lot more details on this online at channel3000.com.
Jamie, thank you.
Sure.
Next at 6, as the snow continues to fall, we're looking into how much it costs to clear the roads.
We'll take a look at the city of Madison's budget and how much the storm is projected to cost next. The Wisconsin DNR is hosting a free fishing weekend starting tomorrow. Residents can fish almost anywhere without a license or trout stamp this weekend. The DNR is also hosting several ice fishing workshops around the state. We have a link to that on our website, channel3000.com.
Well, Lake Mendota is officially frozen over for any hopeful ice fishers, but the drive to and from any water could be a little challenging.
Of course, there will be crews out there trying to keep anyone who has to be out on the road safe. Danica Lewis is looking into the cost of that effort here in Madison for us, and she's live on the west side with that. Danica?
Charlie, right now I'm currently looking into snowflakes, and we're hearing the results of these roads not being cleared. Some of the sirens going off right down the road at the fire station right near us, assuming that's for some sort of crash or incident happening, and a plow coming up right behind me as well. So a lot of timing here, and as you can guess, it's not easy nor is it cheap to clear the roads during an event like we're going to see overnight into tomorrow. Now, the city does have budgeted a little more than $6.5 million in this year's budget, set aside specifically for snow and ice control. That is set up to cover all of the staffing, supplies, equipment it takes to plow, salt, sand, and clear sidewalks and bus stops that the city are responsible for for roughly 5.5 events. And those 5.5 events would have 3 or more inches of snow. A lot of numbers coming at you, but just plowing for something like what we're expecting this weekend costs around $230,000, with every overtime shift for plow drivers and managers coming in right around $24,000. Now, for reference, last year the city allotted right around $6.1 million to deal with anything like this. Well, they came in at an estimated $7.1 million. Sound like a problem? Well, don't worry. There is a contingency reserve on hand in case Mother Nature throws a little curveball at us, as I don't know, I might assume after this year might have more snow coming. Charlotte and Eric, back to you.
All right, time to brush yourself off there, Danica. Thank you so much.
And coming up next, we'll have more details on the snow system making for a messy drive home.
Dana will have the latest on when it should die down and expected snow totals in your First Alert forecast.
For consistent, reliable storm tracking, watch First Alert Weather.
Road conditions are still going to be the main topics for tonight, even into tomorrow morning, as this accumulating snow is making things already very slick outside. Areas south of Madison might even see a little freezing drizzle, freezing rain, or just a wintry mix at times after midnight and early Saturday morning. The good news, of course, not a lot of folks on the road at that time. However, it's going to add a little bit of a glaze for some sidewalks and mixing in with that snow. Wind gusts also a concern. Those gusts are going to pick up over 30 miles per hour overnight, so blowing snow, drifting snow, and just visibility overnight is going to continue to deteriorate. Here's a look at our high resolution Doppler. It does seem like some spots are getting a bit of a break, a brief moment of maybe some lighter flurries or things backing off for a little bit. The heavier snowfall in Rock County and in Jefferson County in the southeast corner of Dane County right now. But this big blob is just going to continue to push northeast. So we have a winter weather advisory in effect through tonight and through all day on Saturday. Even as the snow does taper off, it's going to take a little bit of time to get things all cleaned cleaned up. So that winter weather advisory extends through Saturday afternoon. Overnight, the snow continues. We'll have moments with some light flurries and then heavier snow mixed on in. As we get closer to 10, 11 o'clock, we'll be keeping a close eye on this band of freezing rain as that band starts to live close to the state line. Some areas around Monroe, Beloit, the southern edge of Rock and Greene County, we could see some freezing drizzle mixing in. Again, not a lot of people on the roads at that time. However, a little bit of ice mixing in with the snow is just going to make it even harder to clean on up. This is, again, right around midnight, so not much of an effect for early on Saturday morning. By the time we get closer to 8, 9 o'clock, temperatures in the southeast quarter of the state, mainly south of Milwaukee, will start to warm above freezing. So they'll see a little bit of rain before this all comes to an end. But for Dane County and areas north and west, we're just going to continue to see snow, more snow coming down through Saturday morning. It's not till about noon that snow really tapers off. We're still mostly cloudy through the day, but we finally get to start to get things cleaned up. Seeing a very strong breeze throughout the day, though, from the northwest. It's going to be very windy outside through Saturday and even into Sunday morning. Our winds come from the northwest into Sunday, so Sunday we're expecting no snow, just very cold temperatures, and that cold air stays into the start of next week as well. We'll still have a partly sunny sky by Sunday afternoon. Totals for tonight into Saturday morning, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches expected south of Madison. From Madison on north, about 4 to 6 inches. And then well north towards Green Bay, 6 to 7 inches expected for us. This line, the areas to the south, and that's really due to the threat for some freezing rain to build on in. So if we see that freezing rain line push a little further south, then areas south of Madison will likely see the higher end of that range. Overnight temperatures are going to hold pretty steady in the mid-20s and then slowly start to rise. We'll actually hit our high temperature tomorrow early in the day. Around 8, 9 o'clock, we're going to be close to 32. And then temperatures are going to fall through the teens in the afternoon. So it's going to get cold outside tomorrow. It's going to stay pretty windy also. An alert day in the forecast for Saturday, too, due to those road conditions, sidewalk conditions also. You're just going to want to take things a little slow tomorrow as things get cleaned up. Behind the snow, it gets very cold outside. Temperatures are in the teens to start off the week with overnight low temperatures dropping below the single digits, below 0, with wind chills even colder than that. Expected to drop anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees below 0 for early Monday and Tuesday morning. Our next system we'll be watching with some mixed rain and snow chances will start to build in for the end of next week. That's a quick look at your forecast. We will be right back.
Well, the Packers didn't send shockwaves through the league when they signed Za'Darius and Preston Smith, but the return on the investment has been very high. Now, despite their high sack numbers, Preston needed the fan vote to make the Pro Bowl. Za'Darius didn't make it at all. And they aren't related, but everyone calls them the Smith brothers. And they finish each other's sentences, do press conferences together, and both say this is exactly where they expected to be when they signed with Green Bay.
We act like brothers, so we bring the best out of each other, so that carries on around the team also. Everybody feels the same way, so that's why we call it brotherhood.
Yeah, I guess we just lead by example by showing guys they can be themselves. They see how we interact with each other, how we interact with other people, and how much we come in, we're just being ourselves every day, week in and week out. And they see that it's okay to be themselves and go out there and have fun and play at a high level and, to produce for the team.
Early on at Breslin Center in East Lansing, Michigan, Michigan State has a 12-5 lead over the Badgers. Wisconsin has 2 straight road wins over ranked teams in a league where road wins are about as common as Haley's Comet. Sparty has the early lead 12-5, where Wisconsin hasn't won since 2004. We'll have highlights tonight on News 3 Now at 10. Well, the countdown is on. Less than 48 hours until the Packers and 49ers play for the NFC Championship and a trip to Super Bowl 54 in Miami. Not even flight delays could slow down Melissa Kim, who joins us live from the 49ers practice facility where the road conditions look excellent. Melissa.
Oh, Kevin, they're quite good here. And I know you talked about the Smith brothers earlier. It's really no secret that they've brought that special little something to this defense this season, right? Well, it's their sack celebrations or their third down hype videos. They just back it up with their numbers, too. Za'Darius leading the team with 15.5 sacks. Preston not too far behind him with 14 of them. And, that's caught the eye of 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan, too. He knows what they bring to the table and what they bring to this defense.
They added 2 very good players, which anytime you add 2 good pass rushers, it makes the defense a lot better. I think they were, we went against them last year and they were a tough defense. Bringing in those 2 new guys has made it that much tougher, and they've just continued to get better and better throughout. They've invested some young, some draft picks on the secondary, and those guys have all grown. And having Mike there going into his second year, he's done a great job with the defense, and the whole package has gotten a lot better, and it's so tough to go against. And those 2 guys probably were the icing on top of the cake.
And, anytime the Packers come back to the Bay Area, it's a homecoming for some of these players. We'll actually catch up with some of their high school coaches coming up a little bit later tonight on News 3 Now at 10. Kevin, back to you.
Dig up all the dirt on the Packers from when they were young. All the stuff they didn't think we'd know. You can't scrub all that. So, yeah, we'll have more coming up at 10.
I look forward to that, Kevin. Thank you. Dana, final check.
Right now, we're going to take a quick look at that radar. We still have snow spread throughout southern Wisconsin. Alert day in the forecast for tonight because of that winter weather advisory. We'll continue to see snow into early Saturday morning, colder air for your Sunday next week.
Thanks for joining.